All right, today we're diving into a really cool, kind of unlikely partnership: artificial intelligence and the ancient art of translation. And look, this is about way more than just getting a better translation app on your phone. AI is fundamentally changing how we study, how we teach, and even how we think about language itself. So let's get right into it. But first, let's start with a big question. Translation, it's an art form, right? It's a craft that happens inside someone's mind. So how in the world do you study that scientifically? How do you actually find the hidden patterns, the invisible rules that guide a translator? This has been a huge puzzle for researchers for a very, very long time. Well, to answer that, researchers basically had to become detectives. They started hunting for clues, not at a crime scene, but deep inside the language itself. Their field has a bit of a mouthful of a name: Corpus-Based Translation and Interpreting Studies, or CTIS for short. But you can just think of them as linguistic detectives. They build these massive collections of texts, they're called corpora, and they just sift through them, looking for the subtle fingerprints that make a translated text different. So what kind of clues are they looking for? Well, they're often called translation universals. For example, there's simplification, the tendency for translated stuff to use slightly simpler words and sentences. Then there's interference, which is like finding faint traces of the original language's grammar. And you've got normalization, where translators sometimes try a little too hard to make the text fit the new language's rules perfectly. Okay, so here's our plan. We've met our detective. Next up, we're going to meet their new partner. We'll see how AI works in the lab and in the classroom. We'll talk about the problems, and then we'll look at what the future holds for this team up. For years, this detective work was, you can imagine, incredibly slow and painstaking. But then, a totally unexpected new partner showed up, one that was about to change the game completely: artificial intelligence. And the difference is just night and day. I mean, before AI, gathering text was a manual, slow-going process. Transcribing a speech, that could take forever. But now, AI can crawl the web for data, turn speech into text in minutes, and analyze everything on a scale that was just a fantasy before. It's a gigantic leap in both speed and power. So let's pull back the curtain and see how this partnership really works on the ground. First stop, the research lab. You can kind of break down the new AI-powered workflow into three main stages. First, you've got the data collection. Then, AI helps compile and organize it all. And finally, it helps extract those specific linguistic clues the researchers are looking for. And this isn't just about going faster. It lets them achieve a level of detail and scale that changes the kinds of questions they can even think about asking. Let's just focus on that first step for a second: collecting the data. This is where AI is an absolute superstar. It can automatically pull millions of comments from social media to see how regular people translate things, or it can instantly transcribe every word from a day-long conference. This just unlocks these enormous, diverse datasets that give us a much, much clearer picture of how translation actually works in the wild. But this partnership isn't just locked away in a research lab. It's also making its way into the classroom and completely revolutionizing how we teach the next generation of translators. Okay, check this out. This is a look at an AI-powered teaching platform. A student gets a piece of text, and then boom, the platform gives them 3 different AI-generated translations, in this case from Google, Udao, and ChatGPT. So right from the get-go, the student isn't just a consumer of translation, they're a critic, a judge, comparing these different versions. Then, after they pick the best starting point, their role changes again. Now, they're the editor. They can use these cool, customizable prompts to actually tell the AI how to improve the text. Is this for a news article, or maybe a legal document? They can fine-tune the AI's polish to fit that specific style, which is just an incredible way to practice real-world skills. And here's the real kicker. The platform's AI can give them instant, super detailed feedback. The teacher can actually plug in their own grading rubric, and the AI will evaluate the student's work based on those exact rules. That means immediate feedback at a scale that one human teacher could never possibly manage on their own. So all this sounds fantastic, right? But of course, this partnership is not perfect. We have to be really honest and clear-eyed about the challenges and the limits that come with leaning so heavily on AI. For starters, AI can still be wrong, making these little mistakes that a human would catch in a second. Its models can also pick up and even amplify biases from the data they were trained on. But maybe the biggest issue is that AI is often context blind. It really struggles to get the deep cultural nuance, the irony, the stuff said between the lines. All the things that make human translations so special. And that really brings us to the most crucial point, which researcher Michela Zapavinia sums up perfectly here. Technology is an unbelievably powerful tool, there's no question. But it's the human expert who brings the context, the judgment, and the wisdom to know what's actually useful and what really matters. So all of this brings us to our final question. What does this powerful, yeah, sometimes flawed partnership actually mean for the future of translation? The big takeaway is really clear. This is not a battle of AI versus human, not at all. The most exciting, the most powerful future is one of collaboration. It's human plus AI. It's like the perfect division of labor. AI can handle all the grunt work, chewing through massive amounts of data, finding the broad patterns, automating the tedious stuff. And that frees us humans up to focus on what we do best, thinking critically, understanding culture, and bringing that spark of creativity to the whole process. So as AI gets better and better at decoding the science of language, it actually pushes us to focus more on the art, the parts of communication that you just can't turn into code. And that leaves us with a really fascinating final thought. As this incredible technology helps us understand the art of translation, what is it ultimately going to teach us about the art of being human?